In the music venue storage room, there should have been black wallpaper that's the same color as that scrap. There was also a tear along the edge of the wallpaper, wasn't there? If so...
You're right. If you overlaid the scrap that was caught on the lighting with the tear in the wallpaper... See? It fits perfectly.
I see. So the scrap that was caught on the baton lighting was originally part of the wallpaper.
And what's wrong with that? Does it have something to do with Hyoko's body disappearing?
A mere nobody like me isn't important enough to answer that. But if you guys were exceptional enough to identify that scrap of paper, you can figure this out easily.
It's all coming together! I got it! Hyoko's body was hidden before we found it.
But it would have taken quite a long time to tape up a hidden body.
No, the body was already taped up and the killer hid it, along with the pillar using the wallpaper.
What? They hid the pillar?
Yeah, by wrapping the wallpaper around the pillar, the killer was able to create a slightly larger pillar. So when I first discovered Ibuki's body, Hyoko's body was already there. However, because it was concealed within a slightly larger pillar, I didn't realize that at the time.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, it makes sense that you'd notice Ibuki's body right away.
So they used the baton lighting on the ceiling to hang the wallpaper?
The baton lighting forms a perfect circle around the pillar. So using it to hang the wallpaper totally...
Then, the reason the wallpaper was covered in so many stickers was to make it look like that.
That's how they hid Hyoko's body, and then peeled off the wallpaper as soon as I left the music venue.
But the killer made a mistake. They accidentally ripped off a piece of the wallpaper. And because of that, a scrap was left on the baton lighting.
The killer must have been in a hurry. If their plan took too long, Hajime could have walked in on them.
But going to the trouble of hiding the body and the pillar is very bold and risky.
But the crime itself would be much easier to pull off since they don't have much to do while Hajime's gone. just have to peel off that wallpaper and stash it in the storage room. It's not that big of a deal.
Then, when was Hiyoko actually killed?
Good point. And on that note, it's about time we shed some light on those imitation murders.
You mentioned imitation murder more than once. But what is that?
Are you kidding me? You haven't seen my masterpiece? The Wizard of Monami 2.5D?
Hey! Don't put my likeness in your movies without my permission!
You're pretty noisy for someone who eats mothballs.
I don't eat mothballs. I just enjoy looking at them. I knew it! There are so many similarities. It must have been intentional.
Ibuki's death by hanging matches the Scarecrow's death from the movie. Not just that, but Hiyoko getting taped up after her death matches the lion's death.
It's as if both crimes were replicas of scenes from the movie, although the mutilated Tin Man was omitted.
But why did the killer go to all this trouble in the first place?
Based on what we know, the reason the killer chose these imitations isn't that difficult to figure.
I see! The reason the killer imitated two of the murders from the movie was so he'd mix up the killing order.
Then, Hiyoko was actually killed before Ibuki?
A valid line of reasoning.
Yeah, it's valid. The condition of Ibuki's body suggests that as well.
What do you mean? If you're going to cry and beg like that, then I guess I'll hear about the condition of Ibuki's body.
I'm not even crying.
I'll let you sob as much as you want later. Just hurry up and tell me before I change my mind.
What a jerk!
Oh, I see. You want me to explain it to you, right? Because you don't understand what I'm saying, right?
An even bigger jerk? Impossible!
Look, Ibuki died because she hanged herself, right? That means when she was still alive, her feet were touching the floor.
What's wrong with that?
But it seems Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was killed. That would mean Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki.
How light. Your words are so light as the sylph's feather. Your opponent is out of your league. It is too absurd to try to perplex me so
Man, he's being annoying again.
First and foremost, you claim Ibuki's feet were touching the floor when Hiyoko was killed. How can a low-class creature with no psychic abilities like you know something like that?
Because she was doing something that's only possible if her feet were on the floor.
It seems you suffer from a pathetic delusion.
You're one to talk.
When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
I am telling you to present your evidence.
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were, was there any sign she stepped on something? Were there even any footprints at the crime scene?
Maybe her feet were on the floor, but she was like sitting or something. So instead, there'd be a mark on her ass.
Weak, weak, I say! It doesn't even pierce my heart!
When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor. When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
I am telling you to present your evidence!
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were on the floor, was there any sign she stepped on something?
I agree with that. Just as Sonia said, Ibuki stepped on something. That something was blood. There were faint bloodstains on the soles of her slippers.
That is not Ibuki's blood, right? She suffered no external injuries.
Then it's Hiyoko's blood!
Hiyoko's only wound was a fatal slice on her neck. And she died almost instantly, right?
If Ibuki stepped on her blood...
It means Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was mortally wounded. Which means Ibuki was still alive at the exact moment Hiyoko was killed.
Don't underestimate the power of the evil eye! Is that it? A shepherd dressed in his Sunday's finest still reeks of lamb, Hajime Hinata.
Does that mean you have a rebuttal?
Does that mean you have a rebuttal? That's a good line. But, are you sure you're sure? If I show you how serious I am, this world might be destroyed, you know. You're so frightened you can't even make a sound. It seems you've realized our difference. However, the time for conviction starts now. You better entertain me to the fullest. You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet. Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no... You can't step on blood that was never there. Just about what did you see, a nice nightmare?
I can't back down! As long as Ibuki's body has no open wounds, there's no doubt that that blood is Hiyoko's.
Hiyoko was taped to the pillar, yes. But it's possible that the pillar still had blood on it. However, you cannot step on the pillar with your... You should feel proud of this. It's been nearly 3 years since I've had to use 60% of my power. Hiyoko was taped to the pillar, yes. But it's possible that... However, you can... It's been nearly 3 years since I've had to use 60% of my...
Damn it!
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged to Hiyoko? Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor. You can't step on blood that was never there. Just about what you see, a nice nightmare. You're saying the blood on Ibuki's... Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor. You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged to Hiyoko? Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime. There was no blood on the floor.
Allow me to cut through those words! That's not it. The reason there was no blood on the floor is because the killer wiped it away afterward.
Don't say such foolish things! You don't have proof of that at all!
Yes, I do. If you look closely, there's a streak on the floor where blood was wiped away.
When the killer tried to hide Hyoko's body, they probably cleaned the blood at the same time, but... Ibuki must have already stepped in it, and the killer probably didn't even realize it.
The reason they wiped off the blood on the floor was so we'd mix up the order of the murders, right? Even if they're able to hide Hyoko's body, it'd be bad if her blood was left out in the open.
Plus, Ibuki's body was left out in the open, and it wasn't bleeding from any open wounds at all.
Hyoko's body was probably wrapped in duct tape to stop her bleeding. Actually, the bleeding will stop once the heart stops beating, so I don't think they had to go that far. Aside from Nikon, none of us were aware of that fact, so the killer probably did not know it either.
Maybe the heater was running inside the music venue so it would screw with Nikon's autopsy?
That's right! I didn't know the time of death because of the heater!
The time of death wasn't mentioned in the Monokuma file just to keep concrete evidence from us.
Yep. Since we have all this evidence, there's no one else who wants to object. Then it's decided. Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
It appears that it is wiser to retreat for now. Fine then, but regardless of good or evil, there's no deceit in upholding one's convictions.
Can't you just shut up and back off?
Now then, let us resume our debate.
Wait a sec. There's something I want to run by Monokuma first.
Huh? Again? Didn't something like this happen last time, too?
Hey, if the victim actually committed suicide, what are we supposed to do?
The same as always. You have to vote for who the killer is. Think about it. A suicide means you've killed the most important existence of all, yourself. Unfortunately, that means there's...
Why me?
Nagito? What do you mean? If the victim actually committed suicide?
Well, I understand Hyoko's dead, but I'm wondering if Ibuki was really murdered. For example, it's possible Ibuki killed Hyoko, and then committed suicide due to a guilty conscience, right?
That's totally impossible! Then she never would have killed her to begin with!
She was afflicted by the despair disease, remember? That means anything can happen.
But if Ibuki's the killer, she wouldn't have been able to falsify the sequence of the murders, right? After Hajime saw the hanged body, the sudden appearance of Hyoko's bodies, the killer had to be alive at that time.
Then she was alive! When Hajime first discovered Ibuki, she was just pretending to be dead. If she waited until Hajime left, that's when she could have made her move and mess with the crime scene.
She hanged herself! Remember? There's no fucking way she could have faked that!
And if she was going to fake her death, I think she wouldn't have chosen hate. Her body would have been defenseless in that state. If anyone touched her, that alone would have...
I see. So that means there's no doubt that someone killed those two. I'm glad. Now I'm free to search for the killer.
What the heck?
There's still one more issue on my mind. If Ibuki didn't commit suicide, then just what was that video Hajime saw? According to that video you saw, Ibuki was by herself when she climbed the stepladder, right?